I wish that shit was a little bit longer, dude.
That was it.
That was it, man. Like,
Ah,
but
Jesus,
they
man.
won it again
All
with
right,
auto
guys. Got
tune.
Travis Scott in the building on site.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Oh man, good evening. Good evening, guys. How are we doing this week, man? Feels like it's been less than 24 hours since we saw each other.
Yeah, it was.
Anybody care to expand what we did? What adventure we went out to do yesterday?
Wow, what an intro. That sounds like we've done
I know.
something else, like an
What,
escapade.
what did the
Yeah.
Boy Scouts go do yesterday, guys? Uh,
You tell me, big dog.
well, we'll let our driver do. Irving, what did we do yesterday, Irving?
Me, we explored the football in our backyard. Although we know it's garbage, we went to go see the earthquakes. Just try and do something for themselves, if you may. I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to expand on it too much, but let's just say the earthquakes had 5 days of glory until they came back crashing down to reality.
Shit, so did we as fans.
Yeah.
We were like, "Fuck, I'm fine." Finally, the earthquake, something to fight for, and
Yeah.
it just came crumbling down.
Hey,
Yep.
man.
Matter of minutes.
We had 10 minutes of high that they gave us,
That's
where
right. Yeah,
they made us believe that we were
they
onto
did.
something else. But I mean, for the folks that want to know a little bit more, and for those that saw our story, which by the way did get liked by the earthquakes, so we got to give kudos to that because at least we put them on notice that there's people out there watching them. Um, but anyways, well, we did get to go out yesterday to the fortress to PayPal Park, which was something that we had been planning to do for a while now, as a group. And yesterday was finally the day that we got to do it. Fortunately, we saw the earthquakes. Well, not. I mean, I guess we kind of expected a loss, but yeah, it's a shame that they did lose 2-1, and I think we saw say a whole lot of nothing from the offense that the Earthquakes have. And perhaps the only highlight was the center back who happens to play all positions. Um, but other than that, I think we had a good time out there. We enjoyed ourselves and shame because I think the just going to Earthquakes game feels like fun. Just the team doesn't replicate it. But anyways, that's enough for the introductions. Unless you guys have anything else you guys want to say, you guys want to add, how you guys doing, how y'all feeling,
No,
anything going on.
nah, I'm good, man. I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
All
Let's get it
right, man. Well,
rolling.
let's get it rolling. Let's hit it. Let's go with our Tarjeta Roja segment of the week. Um, Irving, Ariel, I'm gonna open the floor to you guys so I can think of one because I have a few in mind. But I'm gonna let you guys see if you guys take any of the ones I have.
Yeah. I could go. Uh, yeah. So for those who maybe are watching for the first time, our tarjeta roja is just giving a tarjeta roja to someone who deserves it. They did something wrong, something bad, something going on in the world of football. It doesn't have to be a player. It could be a team. It could be a situation. So yeah. So my tarjeta roja is gonna go to all, or not all, but most Liga MX teams. We're gonna get into it in our topic this podcast. But the Leagues Cup has started here in the U.S. It's a league where the Mexican teams and American teams play each other and kind of try to figure out who the best one is in a weird group knockout kind of round stage. Uh, and it happened last year, but I think it's more evident this year that Liga MX teams are just not performing for some reason. Whether it's because of the fact that they always play away, or some teams always play away, or no one shows up to the games, to be quite honest, or the fact that the tournament is just essentially a money grab for executives in the MLS and Liga MX. it's just a weird dynamic of a tournament, and it's kind of reflecting on the players because, especially, there's a clip out there in the Monterrey game. They're playing Austin FC, and I think the goal was offside at the end of the day, but Monterrey was just walking out there, and Austin FC was passing, switching the side of the ball, and Monterrey was just literally walking towards the attack and trying to defend. They were walking, and it just I don't know what kind of picture it paints of football here in the CONCACAF, especially in the two biggest, probably football and CONCACAF. I don't know what kind of picture that displays to the world and to fans, but I just think it's a poor display or poor dynamic of a tournament right now. We'll get into it too as well a little bit later. But yeah.
Yeah, thank you. My tarjeta roja of the week goes to Julian Alvarez, Man City striker. Uh, you know what team he joined, buddy. Let's quit acting like you were promised to start week in, week out. You have arguably the best striker in the world ahead of you. And for you to come out to the press and say you're not happy because you want to play in important games, I thought Pep's response was like, "Man, this my guy right here." I fuck with Pep sometimes, especially when it comes to these type of things, where he's just like, "Dog, you played. Shut the fuck up and fall in line." So, I mean, he's definitely the director of that ship, and I fuck with it, and I just feel like tarjeta roja is for Julian Alvarez, kind of coming out, and I don't know. It almost feels like he didn't know what team he was signing up for. But if you've seen his teams, Pep's teams, you know that he rotates. You know that you will sit some games out. He has no problem sitting out some key players out for a game. So you're not him, one, and two, like that's not the right team if you want to be the main guy. He doesn't really have main guys. So Tarjeta Roja goes to him. And for everyone trying to push that agenda that he fucking should play more, it's like, no, you have fucking Haaland in front of you. Sorry, buddy.
But I mean, wait till he gets happy when he's playing defense for Simeone at Atletico Madrid, dude.
Exactly, dude. Like you're getting linked to Atletico Madrid. You're gonna go be another defender.
Yeah.
Like, come on, dog. Like, dude, what are you talking about?
Ah, jeez, man.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Nah,
he's gonna be fucking. I mean, I would love for him to go to Arsenal, but I doubt that's gonna happen. But the reality of it is, it's probably more like an Atletico Madrid type of team. You know, it just he's not gonna win shit there.
oh man.
So that's my tarjeta roja of the week, Julian Alvarez.
I
Mhm.
think I think you brought up the tarjeta roja I was gonna give out, man, because you mentioned them. You said the A word, man. If I could give it to a team, I'm gonna give it to Arsenal this week. It's been announced now officially that the new Maldini Calafiori has signed for Arsenal. Apparently, Arteta's gonna play 7 defenders in the back. The way his team's building up. Oh, and they're in talks. They're in talks to signing Michael Merino too. Another sloth in the midfield next to Declan Rice. Um, and to all of this, there's still no striker. Like you're still gonna rely like next season on Gabriel Jesus and Kai Havertz to compete against a Pep team again. Like I feel like for the past 2 seasons they've been close. They've been there, and they could potentially make it to like actually winning the league. But they're I mean we've talked about it here. Like they're missing a killer. But here we are. We're spending 60 million on a defender. Like what? Well, like you got Gabriel, you got Saliva, but no, you need one more guy to compete. While you could invest that 60 somewhere else. So I mean, I don't know what goes in the board or what's Arteta's mindset, but yeah, it's like you should be looking at other areas.
Break down your attack, Califiori. Come on, man.
He's good.
Just
He's
another,
good.
just another wall added to the team, man.
Yeah,
Quit hating, quit hating on the wall that we're building.
I agree.
Hey, there's gonna be clean sheets. I'll give you that, but it might be a 0-0 with
Hey
the lack
man,
of.
I'm not gonna tolerate this Declan Rice hate, man. Don't compare Mikel Marino to Declan Rice, man. Come on. I know the Euros painted a bad picture for him, but
Nah, but
that
we
man's
can look. We
that
could
man's the
talk shit
best
about
thing,
Merino,
one of the
but
best thing Arsenal has.
there should be no reason why Jorginho starts on this team.
Yeah,
Oof, I
yeah,
But
I'm
we
forgot
they
just
about
need a
that.
replacement for that, so it makes sense to me. But you're right. I think that they need a striker. And look, the reality of it is that Julian Alvarez would be a great fit, but Man City's not going to sell him to Arsenal.
yeah,
See,
right.
I feel like, I mean, as you bring up Julian Alvarez, I think Arsenal reached too early to get the City striker. They should have waited. They shouldn't have gone for Gabriel Jesus. They should have waited 2 seasons and picked up Julian Alvarez. I feel like a different story would unfold after that. But nah, that's on them. They fucked up. They went for the wrong forward that Pep was trying to get rid of. Uh, but we'll see how that develops, and we'll see if he can compete against once again against City's Pep team, which again looks strong again. Hasn't changed.
Mhm.
But anyways, we can move it along. We have a good show for you guys. We have a good episode. We're gonna talk about the Leagues Cup. We're gonna talk about uh, the Leagues Cup essentially, because that's what we're focusing on around. But before we do that, Irving has a recap of the week. Let us know what's been going on, man.
Yeah. So again, club football is just slowly coming back. A lot of USA friendlies are going on right now, so not a lot to talk about, but there is wait, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we hear you.
Okay, good. Okay. So there is Olympic football being played right now, and actually a pretty big scandal happened around this Olympic football with Argentina and Morocco. And how the story goes, or how the game went, was that Morocco was winning 2-1 heading into the 90th minute, and the ref decides to add 16 minutes of extra stoppage time. And some way, somehow, Argentina in the 15th minute ties the game, but the goal is an offside, and the refs decide not to call it. Morocco fans and Morocco start pleading with the ref. Big argument happens. It turns out the ref is like, you know what? I'm gonna just cancel the game, and he stops play. Teams go back to their lockers, and then until minutes after the game, an hour after the game, the ref decides to finally check the VAR, and he's like, hey, you know what? It was offside. So he calls back all the players an hour later. Hey, let's play these last 3 minutes that were left in stoppage time, and they play the last minutes. Morocco's win, get justified, and yeah, and they're both through now to the next round. So another news: Endrick presented as a Real Madrid player. I think it's a pretty big signing for Madrid. We'll see how he plays out on that team because that team is stacked. Siboldi is pretty big news right now. For those that follow Liga MX, there's a big Tigre scandal. Basically, how it goes is that the assistant was allegedly feeding tactics and information to Monterrey in their quarterfinal matchup this past season. And Simboldi and his team were fired immediately after the board found out. And the board kept telling Siboldi, yeah, we have proof, we have pictures, we have calls, this and that. But Siboldi was never shown this evidence when he asked for it. And he basically feels as though his team was fired unjustly, and he's now pursuing a lawsuit. So, yeah, that's going to go somewhere. And finally, we have Javier Aguirre and Rafa Marquez unveiled as new coaches for Mexico. We knew this for about a week now, but today was a press conference. Yeah, and we're gonna see where the what the future holds for Mexico. To me, if I were to give just a little bit of my opinion, I think it's a good step. I think there's still kind of things to work out and how Javier Aguirre is going to work with Rafa Marquez. But yeah, I think it's a good thing for Mexico, and we're about to see what what uh what happens with Mexico. I think again, I see a lot of people say it. I think the problem now is not just the coach, it's the players. The pool of players right now is just not the greatest. So, but yeah, that's our recap of the week. Any comments, questions? I don't know.
It's like, you know how old I was when Javier Aguirre was the Mexican national team coach? 8.
20? Oh,
8. You know how old I am now, and I'm still seeing this guy as the coach?
32.
30.
Oh,
30.
42? Oh,
Like the longevity this guy has in just being around the Mexican national team. It's like it's crazy, dude. It feels like he's the Terminator of La Selección, dude. Like he just doesn't die. Like he keeps on
they need
going.
him, man. They need him. The
So
best
it's
Mexican
like
coach of all time.
I
mhm.
agree. And once again, El Bombero has come again to rescue another dying pool of players to see what we can do ahead of the 2026 World Cup.
And what's exciting is that he's bringing in a young Mexican coach in Rafa Marquez. To me, I think it's exciting. I think he should be excited. I think Jimmy Lozano should probably be kicking his butt. Kind of kicking himself down about like not taking an opportunity to be on this team. I mean, shit. If I would have been him. I mean, why would you not want to be under the best Mexican coach and learn from him? Um, Out of like whatever reason that you have. If you really are about being a coach, like why not surround yourself around a real coach and not my boy, the Japanese boy guy that fucking didn't know what the fuck he was doing out there. Uh and why don't you surround yourself around, a veteran coach and a young up and coming coach? Like I just it's unfortunate really the way this Jimmy Lozano thing has played out. But I think to me, I think it's a good step. I mean, you kind of have your cards are kind of have to be dealt this way. Really,
Yeah.
there's really nothing else. I don't know who else could have done this job.
Hmm.
Nobody. I mean, apparently they had reached out to like uh, Massimo Allegri, and I believe there was another international coach that I think it was Pochettino. I might have to fact check me on that, but they did reach out to like coaches that have coached like big teams in Europe, and they wanted no business with the Mexican national team. So it wasn't that it was also the safest option. It just kind of comes down to that was the only option that they had left. But I do agree with Irving. I do like again, it's just something different, and I don't see it as such a bad, option if that was the last resort. I think we had seen enough, and with Jimmy, and I think this now. I mean, he gave out his first press conference today, and in very Javier Aguirre like fashion, he said, "Nobody's gonna impose me players." He says, "I'm gonna run this."
Right,
so,
right, right.
so once again, we're back to square one. We're back to a coach telling us what we want to hear. Now, there's a big step between what we want to hear and whether he makes it happen or not. But there's going to be time for him to decide that, and I guess we'll we'll be around to see that happening. We'll see that unfolding.
Yeah, and one thing I'd like to add is that a lot of people that I see talk about this new coach online, Javier Aguirre, is that they're like, oh, but he already was the coach for two times, and he failed both times. But I think something that people fail to realize is he's just more of an experienced coach now. He's coached two different international teams. He has really good resume in Europe. And again, to your point, Ariel, you're bringing a really good and young manager in Rafa Marquez. He was doing things great in Barca B. So I don't see why you wouldn't be excited for this or you wouldn't want to look what kind of Javier Aguirre's team looks forward to. And we will be seeing that in October apparently against USA. So that should be something to look out for in the next month too.
Yeah, that's been like their biggest task right now. They just cannot get over this U.S. hump, and I mean, it's really kind of stagnated now. I feel like they're both teams are kind of stagnant,
Yeah.
but hopefully Javier Aguirre kind of comes in and sparks something different in this team, and maybe we'll get some to see some new players. Which I don't know. I wouldn't put all my eggs in that basket, but I that's exciting. Something that I do want to touch upon is that Argentina in the Olympic scandal. Just a little bit. I was talking to my wife about it. My wife doesn't watch soccer, and I was telling her about this incident. And she's like, "What the fuck is that? Like, what happened?" And
Yeah.
it's stuff like that that I think when you think about VAR and you think about the purpose of it, this is one of the really sad components of trying to make things quote unquote right. Um, because it just leads up to this ridiculous scenario where
Yeah.
players are having to warm up, 5 minutes before they go back on, 2 hours later, or whatever the fuck it was to play three
Hmm.
minutes. Like, what are we talking about? So I don't know. That to me, that was just like that's just not a good look for football, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, to that as well, it's like I think we saw another instance where like I think part of the reason it happens was because of pitch invaders, and it's like the ref or like the refereeing core losing control, not being able to like properly inform them either that the game wasn't over. Yeah, there's so much drama, so much, like it is a bad look. It's a bad. I don't know, like there's so many layers to it that just um, doesn't reflect the image of what I think people envisioned VAR would look like when they put it out there. But
Yeah.
um, and well, Andrew played his first game yesterday, and I gotta say, he did look a bit nervous. He looked like the Endrick that only gave one pass in the Copa America. I think he did. I think it's gonna. I feel like some people thought that he was gonna just come in and just be himself, but I think it might take him a lot longer than you think for him to like settle into this team because he looked a bit nervous. I'll
Yeah.
give
He
you
looked
that,
like he was 18 years old out there.
yeah, and it's like there was I think it was one of the first or within the first minutes there was a play where like Tamori like let him know that he was there, like let him know the welcome to the big leagues, and I think it did kind of like you can tell like on his face like he was not ready for that. So we'll see what Ancelotti can do to get this kid into form and be ready for a long season.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, similar things were said about Neymar. I mean, you might have been too young even. Were you too young to see when Neymar made that jump from Santos to Barcelona?
Yep.
Yeah. So I remember I was one of them. I was thinking about like, man, I can't wait till this fucking kid with the mohawk goes and he fucking runs into Sergio Ramos and he fucking just cracks his shit. And you know what? It happened, but Neymar got up, kept doing it, and he was just fine. He continued. It's yet to be seen about how Endrick kind of dives into it, but if the past serves us any indication, I think he's gonna be fine. He's a good player. Even though he had that one pass, I know we were talking about that one pass. I personally liked what I saw from him, even though it could be argued he wasn't like statistically like effective. Like I think the kid has good positioning, and there are some really bright spots to him that I think are exciting, and I think he's under a good coach that will be able to kind of manage him and kind of give him that love. I feel like that's always been the feedback that I always hear from players about Ancelotti.
Yeah.
Kind of wraps his arms around them.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah, man. I mean, do you wanna give us a little tell of events of the Siboldi incident? I think it's interesting. It's funny. But Irving, do you want to share with us
No, I
how
mean,
you've seen it?
it's just interesting. I think claiming that your assistant assistant coach was deliberately basically rigging your games to lose is a bit funny, especially when you realize that there's no evidence or there hasn't been any evidence proven yet. They haven't showed it to either people that are apparently guilty. And even a crazy rumor online was that the assistant coach was feeding like these lies or to Monterrey to be able to like and also playing Marcelo Flores on purpose to be able to have night outs with Marcelo Flores' sister, which is I think insane when you think about the rumor. So it's just interesting. It just shows people like what happens in Liga MX and the ridiculous stuff that goes on, and how sometimes executives and board members are just kind of I guess immature like that, or kind of I guess when you think about it, the main focus should be the football you're putting out on the pitch every weekend, and that's just not going. That's it just paints a bad picture.
Yeah, man. The Tigres, man. It's a small club, man. Don't see it otherwise. They've always been a small club, and I think this little incident just presents another reason why. Um, where yeah, but anyways, we can move it along. We can go into our headline of this week, which is focused around the Leagues Cup, which has now been couple of days since it started. Some teams, like the Earthquakes, have already played their two games. There's other teams that will play their two game or like will play their second games as the week progresses. America and Columbus Crew, because they both won the league last season, they're not playing in the groups. They're actually waiting for a rival in the round of 16
32.
and the round of 32. I apologize. And to that, I mean, what do we think, guys? Like, who's gonna win this glorious tournament? Like who wins it all? Like what have like I mean, for Apple TV has shown a lot of free games, so there's been some games that we could watch. And yeah, man, I think what do you guys see? Like who stands out to you guys of this tournament that we get blessed with now? Apparently every year.
every year.
The earthquakes, man. That's what's gonna take it. The earthquakes. Yeah, I'm just kidding. Anyways, I don't know. I think to me it looks like it's gonna be an MLS team. That's what it's looking like to me. I mean, like I said, in the Tarjeta Roja Liga MX teams for some reason are just not playing at their level. I mean, if you take here, I'll take the team I support, Pumas. Uh, Austin FC is like 10th right now in their division, and Pumas is tied for first place in La Liga. But some way, like I don't know, like Pumas were just outplayed uh, that night, and they did go out with at least half of their subs. But that also begs the question, like, how serious are these teams taking it? That like they bench some of their players, you know. Same thing with Chivas. I was able to fortunate to go to that game, and there to me, there's no way that Chivas should be losing to the worst team in the MLS. We're talking about Chivas. Are they are they playing great this season? I wouldn't say that. They're, in my opinion, they're way better than the Earthquakes. So there's no reason why Earthquakes should be beating you in penalties and why you're losing to them for 94 minutes or whatever it was when the tying goal came.
Mhm.
So I just think it's ridiculous that I don't know. I just don't know. Like, and maybe there's a little bit Liga MX bias, but yeah, there's no Liga MX just doesn't look in it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And yeah, and if I were to predict a winner, I mean, maybe, I mean, I liked what I saw from LA Galaxy yesterday. They're first place right now in the West Division.
Mhm.
So maybe Inter Miami once Messi comes back, they're obviously going to be a contender. American Columbus Crew, the two past champions, they're still a great team. So yeah, I don't know, to be honest. The way that it's playing out, I don't know. Those are my guesses.
Oh,
I sure throw Pumas in there too. Although they have to win
yeah.
to stay in.
It's
Mhm.
like, wait, would Messi be back in time to play? I mean, I think they already passed because the group isn't
Yeah,
that strong. where Inter Miami is.
They
Um,
actually they're gonna play Tigres, but they're already through because both of them beat Puebla, so
yeah, so
they're just playing for first first place in the group.
it's like I couldn't tell you any. I mean, besides the Earthquakes group, because we were there and we saw we know who's playing. I couldn't tell you what groups are there. Like what side of the brackets are like the stronger Mexican teams, or what side they're not, or what side are the strong MLS teams. But if I had to put a pick, I'm gonna stick with America to win it all. And no, nobody's being biased here. We're just talking out of pure football. Just seeing the squad that America has built for this season. Oof, I can't even tell you, dog. Like we're getting new players. That some of the injured players are healthy now. Like, man, it's like and they're probably gonna play a weak team leading up until the final because I believe Tigre. Well, actually, yeah, like Tigres, Inter Miami, Cruz Azul are on the other side. So yeah, I'm going with America. I'm staking my guns that this will be the year that a Mexican team wins it. So yeah, man, it's win or bust for them.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although,
Any thoughts?
sorry,
Oh, uh
sorry,
huh.
just had like based on what you talked about Galaxy yesterday, Galaxy versus America game would be really nice if it could happen. That would be a nice game to see. But my
Hmm.
final thought.
Yeah, I think, thank you for that. I think, I mean, I think you can't always rule out America, whether you like them or not. I think that they're always a strong team. Um, Best team in Mexico, probably. Uh, I think, regardless of the standings, like, you know, fucking Cruz Azul was ahead last year. Fucking Pumas
Yeah.
was ahead last year and led to nothing. So I can't take the standings by anything. I think America has the biggest pedigree of Liga MX, so I can't rule them out. I do like Inter Miami if Messi is able to come back. Not sure if he will, but if he does, then I think that they're doing good without him, but I think they're gonna do better with him. I think the Timbers look pretty good. And I wouldn't be surprised if the Columbus Crew go through, because the Columbus Crew, the coach, Nancy, he hasn't played really well. I mean, they just beat Austin Villa
Mm-hmm.
in a friendly, but they still did their thing. So they have a style. He has them playing. They have bought in, and I wouldn't be surprised if they do well in this tournament. So I think to me, I'm thinking about the Columbus Crew as one to watch out for to take this tournament.
Yeah. Something I didn't mention that actually, I don't know if it comes into play here or if it has any effect, but also before this tournament started, there was the MLS All Stars versus Liga MX All Stars, and Liga MX wiped the floor with them, the MLS. They won 4-1 comfortably, I'd argue. Now, I don't know how much this affects, team play and why Liga MX, or like how is it that Liga MX is doing so well in this friendly, if you will, and they're doing so poor in the tournament. Because I know at the end of the day, like the MLS and Liga MX are trying to make money, so I feel like MLS will also call up like random people that used to play in Europe. Like they had Benteke out there in the MLS game. They had Shakiri out there, which he did his thing in the Euros, but I mean, is he really an MLS All Star? Did he really have a great season?
No.
They had Bernardeschi out there. That's a name I hadn't heard in a minute before I watched that game. They
Mhm.
had Berkey out there. I know Berkey had actually a pretty good season, but
Nah, he had a good
again,
season.
someone that played in Europe. So they're having players just be called up for the name and the pedigree, I guess. But yeah, I think it's the Leagues Cup is interesting. The dynamic is interesting, and the way the also where it lands in the schedule. It's interesting because both leagues pause their seasons. just to play this tournament. And if you go out in the first round, you're you're not playing for a whole month. So yeah,
Yeah, I feel like this tournament would be good either at the end of the season or in the beginning of the season.
yeah,
There has to be a sweet spot. This is just too in the middle that I think to me it makes sense why Mexican teams are like, well, we're in the middle of the season, dude. We're not gonna fucking bring out all our big guns
yeah,
because then we're fucking out of our the thing that actually matters to
yeah.
us. So
Mhm.
I mean, it makes sense. I just think that it's an opportunity to play around with their schedules because I don't know. I still like the idea.
Yeah, I agree. I think the idea is good, but then again, to me, I'd rather just not have the Leagues Cup and just have the Conca Champions be a maybe a slightly bigger tournament because essentially that's what it is. And at the end of the day, you get the better teams in Conca Champions, and you don't get the San Jose Earthquakes. You don't get the New York Red Bulls.
But I
Uh,
would still argue that it's good for teams like the Earthquakes to get experience like this. Like I haven't seen the Earthquakes play that hard and give it all their all like that Chivas game. That's probably the best game that I've seen from them in years. That wouldn't have happened if this type of cup wouldn't exist.
mm,
So I cool, you can have the best teams, but I still think that teams at the bottom of the table, because there's no relegation, there should still be some sort of like stakes. You know what I'm saying? And I think that the Leagues Cup has the potential of that. And I saw that clearly in the Chivas and Earthquakes game. The bottom of the table team was fighting their heart out to grind out a 1-0 win. And, they had to like apretar el chiquito, which they don't have to do every week.
yeah.
And I think that that's good experience, which I think led to our game of the Galaxy, which I thought was also a okay game. It wasn't,
Hmm.
the greatest game of all time, but for those 10 minutes that Jose mentioned earlier, like it was cool. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like they were trying to hold on. They weren't able to do it, but they were able to hold on. And I think that that type of experience is necessary for MLS teams to get better.
Mm.
Now, I mean, now I'm actually looking at the groups and the knockout rounds and stuff. Now, because they make like so many groups with only three teams, is it a lot harder to predict like a winner with the format that they have going on? Or should we like still, or like why haven't we thought of like maybe moving it to like groups of four like you would normally see as opposed to groups of three with the whole lot of teams?
That's a good question.
I
I
mean, I think it
think.
just gives a better chance for teams like the Earthquakes that are at the bottom of the
Hmm.
table
Yeah.
to be in the running. You know what I'm saying? Like, which I don't think is a bad thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, not everything has to be the way that it needs, like it's always been. At least that's me, my opinion. I personally like that the Earthquakes were in the. I mean, they're probably out now. This is a reality of it. I mean, but you still had that like hope, that esperanza that they were able to fight for something this season because they're not in anything else.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess I didn't look at it that way, but I also, and this is kind of sidetracking. So this is obviously a Liga MX and MLS tournament, and when they do the Conca Champions, it's Liga MX, MLS, kind of the best of, but they also include a lot of teams from Central America, some Canadian teams. Do you think they should just do a big CONCACAF tournament, uh, with these Central American teams, maybe?
I mean, that's what the Conca Champions is.
Yeah, yeah, but don't you think it should just be one tournament instead of having two tournaments, separate tournaments like this?
Well, do you really want to see Los Dragones de Mazapán against the Earthquakes?
I mean,
You know,
no,
you know what I'm
but
saying? Like,
but in the Conca Champions, they only give like one spot to each Central American team.
which I think is fine. I think that that type of tournament is the best of the best of that league.
Mm.
This is its whole other this is a whole other like thing. I'm looking at this as like a FA Cup type of deal,
Mm,
like a cup, like
okay.
because that's the thing, right? It's like we're being really hard, and this is one of my things with the Liga MX that they're not taking it serious, and I do really think that it's due to the fact that it's in the middle of the season for them, but like teams in Europe also do this. Like the FA Cup is just teams from the lower divisions playing against Premier League teams. You would never see a Coventry play Manchester United
Yeah.
unless this tournament existed.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so I personally like that. Like, I like the idea of what's the team that Haji Wright plays for? Is that Coventry?
Nah.
But they made it far in the tournament. That's the team that I'm thinking about. Like Haji Wright plays
Which
for one
right
of the teams
now?
that
Yeah, he plays in. Hold on.
his team essentially made, I think, to the semifinals, right? Before
Oh,
they
he
met.
does play in Coventry. You're right.
Yeah, before they fucking met a real team.
Yeah.
And you know what I'm saying? Like, but it's a cool story though. Like, I think that those type of experiences for those teams, for those players are super key. At least that's me though.
It's like I think I like what you're saying, and I like what you're bringing up, and I think it. I mean, I'm gonna take this opportunity to like, and partially because we're already talking about it, and transition into our debate, and I think we're obviously discussing it now, and it makes perfect sense. It's like to what you're saying. It's like our debate, or like what we're talking about. Like, should the Leagues Cup be canceled? Based on what we're talking about, based on what we're seeing, like should it be canceled? Then why is it that we're seeing like Mexican teams not try as hard as you would think they would, or like not taking this tournament seriously, as opposed to the MLS, because it does feel a lot more lopsided, and it also adds to the fact that there are more MLS teams to watch. But it's like I think you brought up the FA Cup scenario, and it made me think. It's like, well, my opinion, it's like maybe it shouldn't be canceled, but there should be a different format for it. So it's like
Hmm.
just like the FA Cup, and like we see it with like teams out there that play multiple, especially in England, where like there's like four different cups at a time. Like why maybe it's not a money grab, but like why instead of stopping the seasons for both teams, like just do it like to play like every week, or like every
Hmm.
other week you'll have a League Cup game. Like you don't have to do the groups, just
Yeah.
randomly draw them out, and it's like, okay, we'll start round of 64. Like you don't have to give me all 30 MLS teams, or maybe you do. You don't have to give me all 30 Mexican teams, but yeah, like scattered it around so that maybe the sweet spot just isn't one month, but the sweet spot is like a season long thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like I say, like my personal opinion, just seeing what I'm saying, it's like I don't think it should be canceled, but I think it should definitely be modified to accustom everyone, and not just put the league. I feel like maybe not so much for the MLS, because you are right. I feel like there's more teams in the MLS to the point where like by the time the Leagues Cup comes around, because it's usually like past mid season for the MLS, there's already teams that are not playing for anything.
Yeah.
So at that point, those are the teams that are like the Earthquakes. Like they have nothing else to lose, so they'll give you a show. They'll play their hearts out, but there may be other teams, who are not, who are like in the mid tables, or be like, yo, like this is just a tournament on the side where like the only thing that's at stake is probably pride, where I'm not going to try as hard. And I feel like the same thing happens with the Mexican teams, where it's like in the Mexican league, it's like it's La Jornada Cuatro, and it's like now you're like, oh, you know what, you got to go to the U.S. and play this tournament where you might not find you might just get exposure, but you're not gonna like if you get injured, or if somebody somebody gets injured in this tournament, then you're talking about like missing actual time from the actual tournament that matters. Um,
Yeah. Well said. Well said. Yeah, I think I agree that dynamic should be changed. I guess the one of the big problems with the CONCACAF and how you're saying play a week, a game every week, or a game every other week is just geographically, it makes it really hard on, I think, organizers. If you like, if you know, we're talking about the FA Cup here. England is a way smaller country than trying to put Mexico and USA together, right? So it's easier for teams to travel, and you know, I don't know. Maybe that's something that is stopping them. Maybe that's something to work around. But I do agree. I think the dynamic has to change. Maybe get rid of the groups and just do a round of 64. Maybe do 4 teams per group, just because there's so many MLS teams. So you can include like for every Liga MX team, you can include like three MLS teams in a group or something like that for every other group, something like that. But the dynamic has changed. I think the format has changed, and when it's played has to be changed as well.
I mean, the travel is interesting because travel is a part of the game. I mean, if you're a professional, I mean, I'm sure that it sucks, but I I I would hate to think that the fact that they're not making this just like a, you know, a more staggered event is because of travel. I mean, the travel already sucks for the Mexican teams. So just make it suck for everybody. At least that's
Mm.
my opinion. Like if the games are gonna be in Mexico, like, yeah, have fucking Philadelphia fucking fly to fucking Tijuana or fucking, Querétaro and see how it feels like to fucking fly that. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's no like the MLS, I think, is in an interesting spot because the Mexican teams are having to come over here. So in that aspect, I feel like it's an unfair ask for Mexican teams to uh have these ridiculous flights. And like I think that this tournament also can provide an opportunity to I don't know. I look at this as like an experience, you know what I'm saying? Like if I'm a young player at Mazatlan, like this type of tournament would be the one that's exciting for me because I get to probably play and I get to travel. I get to do these things. And sure, the veteran players can, you know, ruffle around in their feathers, but like I don't know. I just feel like there is an untapped potential here from both leagues, and I think it's being clouded by money because they're seeing the money, and even that I would say is like kind of like short term. So in the long term, I think that there obviously there should be modifications, but I just don't see why there's just like a continuous like push for the games to be here in the US. Like
Mm.
I don't see why we don't see the value in going to Mexico. Like you should be able to go to Mexico. Like you should go play in the Volcan. Like for the MLS teams. Like for a team
Yeah.
and for a team that's mid like you know what I'm saying? Like for the team like Earthquakes to go play in the Volcan, like that's an experience, you know what I'm saying? Like you can't replicate that. And even if the Volcan's not fully fucking
Pack.
going at all cylinders,
Yeah.
like, you still get to go play at a historic Mexican stadium, and Mexico has many stadiums that get jumping. Like, I just don't see why they don't see the potential of, like, sending these MLS teams to go experience that, especially teams that don't have that experience all the time. Like, you want the league to get better, so put them in situations that they're not used to. That's the one thing that I really liked about that Chivas game is that it finally showed me the Earthquakes can try to grind something out because there's no heart week in and week out. And that one game, I was like, they're fucking fighting their tails off to get this like, score.
In
And
an away game too.
in an away game, even though it was in their own house, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, how different would it be like for you to go to Mexico and feel that pressure? And so there's just to me an untapped potential here. And I think it does have to do with flying and maybe it's for comfortability, but I think that both leagues would benefit. There's a big potential here for both of them to really benefit from each other, and I think a part of it is being clouded by money. I think a big part of it is being clouded by money.
Yeah.
Well said, man. I feel like yeah,
Yeah.
it's like the idea on point, the execution that's what's lacking
Yeah.
because
Well
it's
said,
not.
Adrian. That's how you wrap up a debate.
There you go,
Well,
Right
we
baby.
all
there.
agree. Well, we all agreed on the debate, so I don't know if it's, I don't know how much of a
that that
debate it was.
that too, but that's how you leave an impression.
I mean,
Leave
we could
people thinking,
argue
you know?
that
Walk away and leave people thinking.
we could argue that it should be canceled. Just leave the owner stranded. Like this format that's just profiting for the owners and not the actual talent that we're talking about right now. Like
Yeah.
Mhm.
yeah, like yesterday, like it's not like well, the San Jose Earthquakes owners, we can tell that they don't care about their team. Still had a good turnout, and
Hmm.
it's like that. That I feel like at some point, like that, I mean, I feel like there are teams like that in the MLS as opposed to the Mexican League, where like the ownership, or like it doesn't matter if the team's good or not, as long as the stadium, as long as you can put seats, you can put butts into seats on every game that they show, then they're okay with it.
Yeah.
Um, but anyways, man, we'll see how this unfolds. I mean, I guess to wrap it up, it's like after this weekend, there's going to be 15 teams that are going to get eliminated, and we'll be stranded until perhaps the end of August. So we'll see how those teams do.
Hmm.
Uh, but anyways, I'll hand it over to Irving. Wrap up this episode, man. Give us our game. Tell us what we're doing today.
All right, we have a game making a return. I feel like a long awaited return. It's been a while since we've played this game. Ariel, if you could do the honors. Who does this jersey remind you of? We haven't played this game in a long time. For those
Sheesh.
for those who haven't seen the first iteration of this, which was weeks ago, uh, basically I'm gonna show Ariel and my brother an image of a vintage iconic jersey, and they're gonna tell me what player it reminds them of. It could be any team, it could be a national team, club team, any era. Just depends on the the status of this shirt jersey. So yeah, and I'll tell the audience, the people that are listening, what jersey I'm showing it up on
Yeah,
the
the
screen.
ones that are listening to our
Yeah.
podcast.
So can
So let's
I?
see. We have boom, our first kit. We have the orange Barca kit from 0607. So whoever wants to go first, tell me, who does this remind you of?
There was this player in Barcelona who I thought was the next big thing and was the next big striker. Some of y'all may know him, some of you may not. Search him up. I hope this comes out somewhere. His name is Edwin Gudjonsson.
Ooh, fuck! What a blast from the past. Jeez.
I thought he would. I wasn't a Barca fan, but I thought he was him, and he had the number 7 on the back, and I was like, this is the guy. Like this is the one that's gonna terrorize the Madrid defenders, and and he turned out to be a whole lot of nobody.
Oh,
And I think it was his only. I think he only lasted this season with the Barca, or maybe one more, and they sent my boy packing. So wherever he is,
bless his soul.
this sure reminds me of you, man.
Yeah, fuck, dude, that's crazy. To me, I think about Puyol. Uh, this Barcelona team. Uh, it was like, I think, like right before Messi, I think, hit the scene. Uh, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, it was Ronaldinho's team, but to me, one of the players that always stood out to me from that team before Messi was Puyol. I think just his leadership was just something different, and I uh, I always thought he was a really solid defender, and he just knew how to just get shit done. Like he just led by example, and I always appreciated about that about Puyol.
Yeah. So
Um,
yeah,
no,
yeah.
go
You
for
were
it.
gonna say
Oh,
something?
no, go for it, and I'll say it after.
Just say it right now. I was gonna move on.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean,
Go ahead.
after I know this was after this shirt, but I mean, I don't know if you guys got to see it. It just came up to my head right now. It's like the cold handshake that that Pep Guardiola and Zlatan Ibrahimovic had at the
Mm.
City Milan game. Like, man, that had to be monumental for both of them. You can tell nobody wanted to say hi to each other.
Yeah, nobody wanted to say hi to each other. Yeah.
That was
Camera
yeah,
was right there, Doug.
yeah. Camera, they were waiting. That was going to be content for sure.
Hmm.
Uh, but that's all. It's also the first season that Barcelona had a sponsor on their shirt, and it was this foundation, the UNICEF,
UNICEF.
that Shakira started sponsoring too.
Hmm.
Nice. Well, I'm too young for this jersey, so let's move on. We got Argentina. Sadly, Sam is not here. I know Sam would go crazy, but we have Argentina 2006 2007 away jersey. Um, Again, same year, but who does this remind you of?
I, I want to say this is. I feel like this is like young Messi with the long hair. Do you have F50s at this point?
Yes, sir.
He
The
did,
ones with
right? I mean,
the ones with the little screws.
yeah, the ones with the little screws, right? That's what it reminds me of. Just like, was he a sub?
Yeah,
He was a
this is
sub,
his
right?
his first
Yeah,
World Cup.
yeah, I remember him just being a sub. That's what I remember. That's what this jersey reminds me of. Like, I like the flares on the jersey. It's like I like it, but yeah, it just reminds me of Messi getting instructions before he going into the game. So he's just really young. I want to say he was like number like what 19 or something like that. He's just like a fucking odd number, right? Like you can never like foresee the greatness of a player. And, I mean, you kinda just witnessed that on that stage. I mean, he was just really young and, um, yeah, just long hair Messi.
It's like this one reminds me of the number 10 before Messi was number 10. Man, the goat, el Juan Roman Riquelme. Yeah,
Mm,
that's my guy, man. One of the few players that I actually like. But yeah, this is Riquelme's team.
Yeah. I
that's
believe
what.
it wasn't the Academy number 8?
No, he was 10, dude.
He was 10?
Yeah,
Ah,
believe number 8 was el Conejito Saviola.
shit. Saviola. What a fucking blast from the past, huh? Jeez.
Here comes Irving. I'm too young for
Fucking
this.
Yeah, I
Maxi
am also too
Rodriguez.
young.
Is this also no, Maxi
So
Rodriguez.
what I was gonna say for this jersey, since
Yes,
I
it
am too
is.
young, yeah, I was gonna mention Maxi Rodriguez. Is this the World Cup he scores a golazo against Mexico?
I
Yes, this
believe
is the
so, yeah.
2006 World Cup.
Yeah. So I guess I kind of know
Rapace,
this jersey.
Cambiaso was on this team.
Pupi Zanetti.
Was Bielsa coaching this team at this time too? Or am I tripping?
That's a good fact to check. I don't
Let me
know who
see.
coached the
No,
What
2006.
was the
Peckerman. It says
goalie El
it's
Papa
Peckerman.
Abundancieri?
Yeah,
Correct.
Sheesh. That
it
was
says
Sam's boy.
whoever Jose Peckerman is. That's who the
Oh,
coach is.
Come on. Whoever Jose Peckerman, come on.
Sorry,
Jesus.
that's
Why do we?
that's how you
Yeah,
know.
man. That's
That's
how
how
you
you
know
know I'm
you're
too young.
young, man.
Jesus.
It's all
All
good.
right. Well, we'll move on. Next jersey, we
Give me
got
just right
Arsenal.
now.
I blanking out on the year this was. I think this is 2010. Now I'm blanking out.
I
Give me a
think it's
second.
2012, dude.
Give me a
Yeah, I
second.
want to say this is Cazorla or Alexi. I don't know if Alexi. Not Alexis was not here. I don't even know if Cazorla was here. This looks like a Giroud jersey, but I'm not sure, dude. I'm fucking I'm blanking out on what year that is.
Yeah, you gotta give me a second. 2010.
I'd
2010.
say that. Ooh.
2010 Arsenal. See, I knew I was right. Give y'all some time to think.
I
But
I mean, now I'm thinking about it. 2010. Uh, my boy, man, my boy Nasri,
El Gordito.
El Gordito. Nah, but he was a fucking beast, dude. I mean,
Yeah.
this is Arshavin's team as well. Um, that 2010 team, crazy. Arshavin, the next big thing. Um, No, but Nasri coming into the scene and uh he was just tearing it up. He was just so quick on the ball. Next big thing. Uh I mean, he never really, I think, lived up to it, but I mean, solid player. I mean, Arsenal. It just goes to show that Arsenal has always just produced really good players, and we just never win anything. But it's just another sad case, really, of another good player produced and leading to nothing.
Oof. You gave me
Mm.
Nasri. Let me give you let me give you my guy from this era.
Okay.
The guy that I was like, yo, this is the next big thing. That
Yeah.
this is the guy that's gonna take England to the next level. Theo Walcott.
Oof.
Oof.
That was the guy, man.
Everton
Dude,
legend.
that's what I'm saying. Like he scored more goals for Arsenal, but his tenure at Arsenal was plagued with injuries, and he just another guy that just didn't live up to. It might be the shirt. It might be playing at the Emirates. I don't know, man. But Theo Walcott had potential to be a winger, but
Hmm.
just didn't turn out to be. What?
He was just fast, man. That's my thing with Theo, man. He was just fast. He didn't have anything else to
Mm.
his game, man. You know what I'm
He's
saying?
like
Like, there's no tricks. Like, you were in the time of tricks. You were in the time of trickery, but he was just fucking fast. That's all he was, dude.
Yeah. Well, here I'll name some again. Still was way too young for this jersey, but I'll name some names that stand out to me when I was looking up. So Fabregas played in this
Hmm.
jersey. Vermaelen, Laurent Koscielny. You said
Those two
Nasri.
names, they don't need to be mentioned, though.
Van Persie. Carlos Vela still played was in Arsenal at this time. Theo Walker, as you mentioned, Aaron Ramsey, Alex Song, Jack Wilshere, Gail Clichy, Arshavin, as you mentioned. So those are some names that stand out to me. Chesney, a young Chesney, was on this team. So yeah. And
all.
finally, oh, uh-huh.
Or are you gonna say the coach?
No.
Oh, it's like all
I mean,
coached by.
everybody knows who the coach.
Arson.
Yeah,
Yeah.
everybody knows who the coach is. All right. So finally, for the last jersey and for the last time until probably, I don't know, who knows. So we go on summer break.
Oh yeah, yeah, we haven't told anybody yet, but we didn't
We
even
will.
mention it. We didn't even mention it in the beginning of the episode, but we'll
Well,
say it
Wanted to
after
be a
this.
let's
surprise.
let's mention it after this masterpiece.
Okay.
We have 2005 Earthquakes jersey. Wrap it up with a little homage to San Jose
Is
2005.
hey man, Brian Ching,
Legend.
Frank Ching.
number 25.
Hey, for those who know who Brian Ching is, I don't
Who?
know who I don't
I'm gonna
know who
go
he
with my
is.
boy right here. I mean, the easy one is Donovan, right? But
Mm-hmm.
No.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go with a little throwback right here. My boy Rich Gannon.
Uh,
Rich Gannon.
He's like, who's that?
Yeah. Who is that?
Arguably the best MLS goalie of all time. My boy Rich Gannon he was like allergic to losing. He just continued winning. Uh, Goalie for the Earthquakes. Yeah, he was a beast. I don't know if he ever made it on the national team. I don't recall if he ever did, but I know in the MLS he was doing his thing.
was it's also the. I mean, it's what a. I mean, talk about ownership and stuff. This was the last season they played as the Earthquakes, and then 2006 they go to Houston Dynamo and they win the MLS. Um,
That's crazy.
the MLS Cup. So like, and it was essentially the same team with just a few added players. So this team had potential. We just yeah, there's a lot of background stuff that just didn't allow it to unfold.
All right. Well, I'll name some key players, legends. We have, as you mentioned, Brian Ching, Wondolowski was on this team. Ronald Cerritos was on this team. Donovan, as you say. Let's see. Scrolling here. I don't know any of these players. Yeah, I think that's it. I don't know anybody.
Was Dwayne De Rosario on here?
Yep, Dwayne De Rosario.
I do say you don't know any of these players, man. Missed
I
out,
don't.
My boy
missed,
Dwayne. That's
missed out
crazy.
the missed out the Dwayne. But
Ramiro
anyway,
Corrales was on this team.
Shit, my
Yeah.
bad. Rich Gannon. My bad. That was a fucking Raiders quarterback. Joe Cannon. My bad. Joe
I,
Cannon. That's what I'm thinking about. Jesus
Rich
Christ.
Gannon.
I
I
didn't
thought
want to
Rich
say
Gannon was
anything.
it. I'm like Joe Cannon. My bad, dude. My bad.
I didn't want to say anything, dude.
Oh,
But
you should have fucking intervened before I'm fucking over here giving false information about the historic earthquakes.
Yeah.
the name looked different, dog.
It
And you're
did. It
close.
did. And I'm like, that doesn't sound right. Because Rich Gannon, I'm like, I feel like I've heard that name, but not in the earthquakes
And
jersey
there's
for some reason.
another Bay Area team.
No, but it's Joe Cannon. My bad. I'm sorry.
Joking. Well, that wraps it up for our game. Thank you to those listening, and hopefully you guys played along. Let us know who you guys, if you guys know any of these, if you even know the sounds of earthquakes. But let us know about the other jerseys and who they remind you of in that period of time. So, yeah,
Well said, man. Thank you. This game's for sure gonna come back.
it will.
Because it brings up the nostalgic in us, and you telling us that you're too young to to participate
To
in our,
participate in in
Yeah,
the conversation.
yeah.
which is
Sorry.
why you're the game host.
That's right.
Yeah, man. I mean, I guess you spoiled the final part of today's podcast, but yeah, we are gonna take a break. We're taking a hiatus, the same way that players do during the summer break. We did start this season back in July. So yeah, man, we've been going strong for the past now 8 months, and we're gonna enjoy some time off, regroup, refresh, and come back as the seasons are starting up again. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Anything you guys want to add to show to our fans, to people that have
Yeah,
followed us throughout this season, to the people that have interacted with us?
yeah.
Thank you. And
Yes. Oh, yeah, I'll add something. Yeah, for those listening and watching and who've kept up with us for the past like 8 months, uh, for those who don't know, we don't do this. We sadly don't get paid yet. We do this out of our own time, just of the enjoyment of watching football, talking about football amongst friends. Um, so thank you guys for listening and for tuning in. Maybe every week, maybe if not on Thursday nights, you're tuning in Friday mornings on the way to work, or the next week on the way to work, or at some time. But we appreciate you listening. We appreciate you going on our social media and following us, liking our posts. Uh, I'm sure we won't stop posting on social media, so you can keep up with us over there. But yeah, we appreciate you following us for these past 8 months. Yeah, it's been a great season. But like my brother said, we're taking a small break just because we also have personal lives, work life, things going on that this is not our job, sadly. uh, so yeah, but we appreciate all the support that and all the new fans that came in this season, and we can only look for more in the next couple weeks when we come back. Just like again, my brother mentioned, club football comes back.
Yeah,
Hmm.
thank you. Thank you. Yeah, man, one of my favorite comments this season, and I don't know if y'all it just maybe it can maybe I don't know if it went over you guys, or I don't know if you guys paid attention to it, but maybe because I see the comments, but one of the comments that we had during a live, uh it's a couple of months ago now, but the person was like, "Oh man," they wrote to us and they're like, "Man, y'all really had to start this right after I was done with the gym. I'll listen to it tomorrow." But just to get that feedback about wanting to hear us talk, and and just kind of getting that feedback of like, "Oh, there's folks listening to us." Like, I appreciate it. I know that the rest of the boys appreciate it as well, and I feel really grateful that we have over 70. I think it was like 76 followers on YouTube, and it's growing, and we're getting over 20 something views. almost every episode, which is really nice. And our TikTok is growing también. So, it's a slow and steady race. At least that's the way I look at it. And everybody that listens is a part of that. And thank you for tuning in. Um, and joining us in this. And as we continue, that this also is you're growing with us as well. So thank you very much, and we'll see you guys soon.
Mm-hmm. We'll be back better, stronger. Hopefully, more things to come, more exciting things to come. But yeah, we appreciate all the support. And you're right. You're right. I mean, to think like we started this season, and again, it's not like numbers. I don't want to say numbers don't matter, but again, we always like to support. And I'll say like we started our TikTok about like 27 followers, 30 followers, and we're up to like 125 right now. Just this season, posting and people liking our stuff and commenting on our stuff. So it's just a really good achievement for us, and we really appreciate everybody that has helped us out with that. So everybody's part of it. It's not just us. Everybody that's in the talk as well on social media. So
Yeah, yeah.
appreciate it.
But thank you, man. Thank you. Yeah, make sure that you subscribe, leave us a comment, share with somebody, leave us a rating. A rating is really helpful. And thank you for listening.
Mm-hmm. Should I play our outro song?
Or our other outro song.
Oh, I was
We're not
tuning
fucking
up
dying, dude. We're not fucking heading into a fucking iceberg. Jesus Christ. Okay. All right. With that, I think we'll end it.
Yeah,
end this
we'll say
stream.
goodbye.
You should hit the one with the
man.
fucking where we get copyright strike.